Xfinity and the Cup Series head to Richmond, while the trucks head to Road America. We give you a betting edge next on the NASCAR Betting Preview Show. What is up, everybody? How we doing tonight? Welcome to the NASCAR Betting Preview Show. I'm your host, Derek Yoder, and with Pocono now in the rear view, trucks and the Cup Series head to Richmond, while the Xfinity Series heads to Road America. The NASCAR Betting Preview Show is presented by Atlas Hair. Atlas is an elite line of hairstyling products with cologne fragrances. So get started today at atlashair.com. Use the promo code NASCAR for 20% off your entire order. That's atlashair.com, ATLASHAIR.com. As we announced last week, we are also live on Twitter via our partnership with In Between Media. So make sure you go and support all that they got going on there with fantasy football coming up. They also do lifestyle advice, everything in between, including NASCAR as well. So that's where you can find us if you want to watch what we got to say live. And if you do so, chime in a little bit. The boys over there like to kind of keep it going with some of the comments. So hope everybody's doing well. We're going to be jumping right into it here tonight for the next hour or so. We'll be really diving in from a handicapping perspective. Really looking forward to tonight with the guests that we have on, being Rob. So by now, you know the crew. Unfortunately, Phil is not here tonight. He is away on a much-deserved vacation, enjoying time with his family up in Cooperstown. So Phil, the Full Tank with Phil podcast, will not be joining us tonight, but we have Mark, a.k.a. SKYBOX NASCAR, who's the host of the Laying Coin Pod through the Gears podcast. Rorypicks, his co-host on the Laying Coin Pod, and all the stuff that Rory does, including on TikTok as well. So, Mark, I'm actually going to start with you. I know, like you said, you're the host of a couple different shows. So how we feeling going into Richmond this week?
Dude, we're feeling great. Never better, actually. I love Richmond. I love the cheese grater track surface. I love betting Richmond. We got some strategy calls. If someone pits 10 laps before the rest of the field, they're going to be rockets, and they're going to make up a lot of time in those 10 laps. And it's really fun. When you got all the tools at our disposal that we have, looking at when guys pit, how much fresher tires. I know NBC tries to do their best, but I'm really looking forward to Richmond. I mean, this is a jam-packed week. We got Through the Gears coming out Friday. We got Laying Coin tonight. We got our boy Rye Cape coming on. Yep. So I know Rory and I are going to be bantering back and forth. That's for sure. I'm Team Denny. He's Team Larson. So we'll have some fun tonight. Let's rip.
Yeah, he's definitely Team Larson, which we know that. So, Rory, I'm going to throw it over to you. I know it was a disappointing week for your boy over there, Larson, but how are you feeling going into a betting weekend?
I'm feeling all right. I've screwed this all up. Hold on 1 second.
I hear you. I hear you loud and clear. You're good.
Just unmute yourself on Twitter. There you go.
I'm good.
Got a couple people watching you live. We're all good here.
Sorry about that. All right. I'm doing all right. Not happy with Denny. That's 2 times this year. I don't mind the move, it's racing. Through the years, whatever. It's always happened, and it's exciting as hell if you're on that guy. But if you're not on that guy and it screws you out of the guy that you're on, you are not very happy. But it is what it is.
Right. Yeah, no, you're right about that. Looking forward to kind of chatting with you here a little bit tonight.
I love Richmond, by the way. So I'm pretty
unmute
excited.
Yourself, Derek.
We're headed here.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to chatting with you a good bit. So let's do this. let's welcome in our guest here this evening. Rob, you know, a lot of people know you throughout the community. I've had the privilege of having you on a few times. How you doing tonight?
Really good, man. Really good. I honestly wish last week had gone better. Wasn't great on my public picks for the first time in about 6 weeks. So everyone, Pocono, New Hampshire, super predictable. I got caught up in it finally, but we'll turn it around this week.
I think we will. We're going to have a lot of fun. So really looking forward to getting into things here tonight. So let's do this. Let's just kind of dive into some of the plays, some of the action. I'm going to give some of the rundown this evening. Here's how the show outline is going to go for everybody. We're going to go over some track facts and data regarding Richmond. I want to hear what the guys' favorite head-to-head on the board is. I want to hear from a finishing position what their favorite is, top 5, top 10, and then go over outrights and then get to you, the listener. I want to hear what you have to say as we're getting ready here for the Cookout 400 at Richmond. Stage 1, 2, and 3 will look like this: 70 laps in the first stage, 160 in that second stage, and then 170 in the final stage, the run to the finish on Sunday. Saturday, 12:35 Eastern, we have practice. 2:30 is going to be qualifying on Saturday, and then the Cup race will start Sunday at 3 p.m. On USA. So just a couple track trends, history, want to kind of go over. I found these interesting, and I felt like you guys would enjoy these. So when you look at Richmond, Phoenix, and New Hampshire as comparable tracks to this weekend's race at Richmond, only Kevin Harvick and Kyle Larson have scored top 10s in each of those 3 races this year. When you look at the last 5 races, average finish in 2023, when it comes to this track specific, or actually I should say in 2023, the best drivers right now, Hamlin, who just won at Pocono, has a 7.2 average finish last 5. And then Elliott has an 8.4 average finish last 5 in 2023. Unfortunately, there are some drivers that have been struggling in their last 5 races. Ryan Blaney has a 26th place average finish the last 5 races, and Alex Bowman 23.6, which ranks towards the bottom of all cars in the field on a weekly basis. When you look at Richmond specifically, JGR, they are pretty damn good here. In fact, in the last 6 races for Martin Truex Jr., he has 1 win, 4 top 5s, 5 top 10s. Bell has an average finishing position of 5.7, 4 top 5s, 5 top 10s, and Denny Hamlin has an average place finish at Richmond of 6.8, 1 win, 4 top 5s, and 4 top 10s. Like I mentioned a little bit ago, comparable tracks this weekend. You'll be looking at Phoenix. You'll also be looking at New Hampshire. When we kind of getting into the information now, and actually, Mark, I'm going to kick it over to you. Very curious from a head-to-head standpoint what you have found thus far.
Yeah, you just rattled off a lot of shit, and I really wish that I was on JGR tonight. I do not have a single bet tonight that's on Toyota. I also don't have a single bet tonight that's on Chevrolet, which is bonkers. But yeah, I'm rolling Ford this week, which is crazy. And I'm gonna tell you guys to play, and you're gonna be like, "What in the hell is this guy smoking?" But I feel like I've got some pretty good explanations. You might not think this first one is crazy, but matchup I'm going with is Kevin Harvick minus 121 against Kyle Busch on Bet Rivers. And I also want to talk about comp tracks at Derek, Richmond, Phoenix, New Hampshire, and like the tiniest smidge of Martinsville and Gateway that you could even fathom, like less than 5% combined. But let's jump into some numbers with those 3 tracks, mainly Richmond, Phoenix, New Hampshire. So Kevin Harvick, total speed ranking on comp tracks, 4th best in the Cup Series. Kyle Busch, 18th. Let's talk some models. WinTheRace.info True Performance Rank has Harvick 2nd heading into the weekend at Richmond. Kyle Busch 16th. Okay. Highline Betting, his model, Harvick 5th, Kyle Busch 11th. Average running position with Gateway, that's with Kyle Busch running extremely well. Harvick has an 7.8 average running position, while Kyle Busch is a 17.4, if you can believe that, how bad he is. Now, if you take out New Hampshire, where Kyle Busch wrecked, Kevin Harvick still has him beat by 7 spots when it comes to average running position, 6.9 to 13.2. Kevin Harvick's average running position on comp tracks, 3rd best in the Cup Series, just behind Larson and Denny. And I think this matchup comes down to what kind of car is Kyle Busch going to have? Is he going to bring the gateway car, or is he going to bring the Richmond Phoenix / New Hampshire car that's 12th place at best? We know what we're going to get from Kevin Harvick this week. He's going to be a top 5 car. He's been a top 5 car at Richmond the last 5 years. He's been a top 5 car on comp tracks this year. There's everything to love about Kevin Harvick this week, and like a 50-50 shot if Kyle Busch shows up this week. And even if Kyle Busch does show up this week, I'd still take Kevin Harvick in this matchup.
Yeah, so that's the one thing about this matchup. And if you're watching on YouTube, I have it right now in the ticker where you're talking about different drivers. Right now, Harvick is what Mark was saying over Kyle Busch. So, Rory, I'm going to kick it over to you next. What matchup have you found in the betting market that you want the people to kind of run and bet right now?
I'm going with Brad K over Tyler Reddick. Reddick, he hasn't really shown a whole hell of a lot on tracks, short tracks especially. I mean, he possibly could get into the top 10, no doubt. Like, I'm not doubting his talent if they all of a sudden pick it up, but I'm going with a veteran here that is notorious for dominating short tracks and a little bit better equipment back in the years, but now RFK's been pretty damn good on the short tracks, since second half last year. They really picked it up and carried the momentum into this year. And I think they're building up momentum and possibly getting ready to win a race at some point. Hell, both of them, not just Buescher. I think Keselowski can win if he's put in a good spot, no mistakes. And you never know, that this might be the week that they hit it. And I really think getting minus 112, that's pretty good value coming in, because that could be a whole lot worse if Keselowski kills practice. I mean, they get quite a few laps in here during practice, so you kind of get a feel over who has a good long run car, and I think Brad will qualify pretty good. I feel like Reddick will qualify good, and you may even be able to get a better number on this going in, but I trust Brad Keselowski over a long run over Tyler Reddick.
Okay, so you see some value there, obviously, in Brad K over Tyler Reddick. I like Brad. I like Brad against Ty Gibbs this weekend. Maybe we can get to that here in a little bit. Before I get to you, Rob, I want to kind of call out a few people. Todd, I see that you're in the audience here tonight. NASCAR Money, you as well. Always good to see some of my friends here. Coop, Kyle Robert, what's up, man? Brian, Rowdy, Mitch. A famous site here that follows us here is frcs.pro. Great account to follow as well. So, and Ethan Ball, I see you out there. I see that you're joining us here tonight. So good to see you. Good chatting with you over the weekend at Pocono. So, Rob, want to hear what you have to say, my man. What do you got for us?
And the problem is they're all really, really expensive. I frankly have been getting away with being short Harvick the last couple weeks by being on Toyotas near the top of the stack. If I were doing that again, I'd pay the juice and go Hamlin over Harvick. But what I like, it's his consistency bet. Ty Gibbs has been there every week. He's smooth. He's really good at this track. He showed that in the lower series, and he's not stretching himself. I think as consistent as he's been seemingly, and here's my cat, he and Bubba are stuck in a 110 at Superbook, and I'm going to just go against Bubba this week. You've seen Bubba get downgraded as low in the outright market of 7,000, 7,200, a couple places, sinking like a stone. I've been looking for a good way to get involved with Gibbs, and we'll get to it later, but throwing a little money, a penny at that top Toyota at 1,100 also has some appeal to me. So if for some reason the top 3 or top 2 Toyotas are gone, I like Gibbs. Did anyone notice where he finished last week?
He had a pretty good finish last week for sure. That was his first top 5, if I remember correctly. Is that right, Rob?
Believe so. And I just like where he's going. He's been a value. He stopped being a value at top 10s. People are starting to respect that number. That's getting too expensive. But I like that against Bubba, who I love Bubba, and he's speedy in certain segments, but this is not probably the best situation for him, and his pick career has been terrible again of late.
I think that's a good call out for sure. When you look at that head to head, like I said earlier, Phil's not here tonight. I don't always get to give out plays on the show. So I'm going to give out Brad K in a head to head versus Ty Gibbs. Now, Rob, I understand that you're going for Ty Gibbs. We can both win in this scenario as long as Brad K finishes ahead of Ty Gibbs and Bubba Wallace, so we can both do well here. So let's do this. Let's move into the next market. Really curious to hear what the guys have to say, and I'm going to kick it over to you, Rory, when it comes to this specific market, which is the finishing position prop market. Rorypicks on the mic.
Don't worry about me. This is a lot of stuff going on here. I'll get used to it though here quickly. I'm going with a little YRB at plus 100, top 10. I mean, Blaney has, I think, became into the driver that everybody thought Blaney was for a really long time this year. He's really stepped his game up, and I expect for him to qualify well. I expect Logano to qualify very well here, and I feel like both of them, if they don't have any pit road mess ups, I feel like both of them can stay in the top 10 very easily. I just like the pricing on Blaney a little bit more than Logano. I try to look for those top 10s at least to get plus 100 and up, unless it's something that, a confident driver at minus 140 or something, and you're just like, that's a steal. I tend to go down the board and find the best value going into the race, because if he qualifies well, that's no longer going to be there. So that's what I was looking at there.
Yeah, that makes sense. That you're saying about Ryan Blaney. I'm sure his name will probably come up again at some point here on tonight's show, but we'll have to see if it does come true. So, Rob, I'm going to kick it to you next. Curious to hear what you found in the finishing position market.
Well, a couple things I like, but I'll shoot up the first one. Just seemed to stick out. I know he should be getting desperate. I know he's been up and down. I know it's not as good as the first 6 races of this year, but I'm seeing Bowman top 10 180 at Betfred, and that feels really out of character. I'm seeing 110s and 120s most other places, and as you know, I'm more a price shopper. I don't care the driver. I'm looking for the best deal, and Bowman, in the situation he's in, as decent as he's been at this track consistently, top 10-ish, 12 to 1, that area. I'll happily play that at 35, 37%, whatever 180 is.
I like it. I like how you always kind of go about and map that out, which, if anybody's not following that's in here listening, make sure you go give Rob a follow, because very detailed in his processes and how he kind of goes about. It's not I like this driver and I hope he does well. It is a very mathematical process with a lot of data, a lot of analytics, and you're very engaging on Twitter. So if anybody has a question, I think it's safe to say they can reach out and you'll help them out. So, Mark, I'm going to kick it over to you. I'm going to let you close out this segment or topic here when it comes to the finishing position market. Where are we going, my friend?
We're going right back to what Rory was talking about, and I'm staring at this YouTube comment from Rye. This is going to be a pretty entertaining laying coin podcast tonight. I'm going Ryan Blaney top 10 even money. I mean, the books are looking at his finishes. Okay, that's what they're looking at. And while Rory was talking about he's exactly who we thought he was, I'm going with the numbers. No one's laughing. I guess no one got that reference. Okay. Anyway, besides the point. I've been bashing Ford all year. All year. Doesn't matter the track. Like maybe super speedways, I'll get behind a Ford. I've been bashing Ford. I've talked about how poorly they've been running. Not Ryan Blaney on short flats. Okay, this man has some serious speed on short flats. Finished second at Phoenix. I know, late race shenanigans, whatever. He finished 26th at Richmond 1, and I think that's what the books are looking at. He had a much better car than that. He had a speeding penalty, the infamous wrench left in the window. We're going to talk about that here in a second. Finished 7th at Martinsville, 22nd at New Hampshire. However, finished top 5 in both stages, had top 5 speed ranking all day, ran over some equipment in his box, and sent him to the rear with like 18 to go, 20 to go. Sounds pretty Ryan Blaney 12-team-esque, doesn't it? Yeah, I know. Shocking. I say all that to say, without the stupid pit road penalties, Blaney could have, in my opinion, would have swept the top 10 at all short flats this year. So at Richmond 1, he starts 17th, no practice qualifying, drives his way into the top 10 before the comp caution. That's 30 laps. Okay, finishes 11th in stage 1. Then he proceeds to get a speeding penalty. Shocker. He then drives from the back of the field to the top 15, I believe 13th, if I'm not mistaken, before the next round of green flag pit stops. That is a fast car. Okay. I don't care what speed ranking you see. I don't care what it's telling you. He's a 14th place car, an 18th place car. I don't care. If you drive from the back into the top 15 on one pit cycle, you have a fast car. Okay. Lastly, I want to thank and I want to look at all my stat nerds, and that is not that is a compliment. That is not an insult. Okay. You guys make this so much easier for all of us, and nerds make the world go round. So we'll start with Highline. 7th in his model. iFantasy Race has him 5th. This is all comp tracks this year. iFantasy Race has him 5th. Win the Race has him 8th. And also shout out to Fantasy Racing Cheat Sheets for his easily customizable loop data sheet. 5th best average running position this year in the Cup Series. So I compile all that nonsense into a couple sentences, maybe one sentence. I love the speed that the 12 team brings to short flats, and the books are staring at the finishing position of New Hampshire and Richmond. And that's why this line is not minus 150 or minus 160, and it's even money. So his pit crew doesn't screw it up. He doesn't speed on pit road. I expect a top 10 from Ryan Blaney.
Okay, so you expect a top 10 from Ryan Blaney this week.
Fords have gotten bid up this week, period. The Fords have gotten bid up this week. I mean, you saw Logano open at 2,000 at Superbook and then come down from there. There's still some Blaney out there at 2,500 to buy, but these things have come down. What I'm looking for, I wasn't happy with the matchup selection this week. I wanted to find Logano versus somebody in the teens, and they just weren't offering me Loganos. I've looked, I look at 18 or 19 books. I'm on a border state. I can play in 2 states, and that's kind of what I was looking for. I want to be on Logano this week, but I couldn't find a cheap way after I missed the 20-1.
Interesting. So what do you think about that, Mark? You like that strategy? Like some of those conversations there?
I do. I'm not as crazy about Logano as I am Blaney, but this is a track. These type tracks are tracks that Ford has been much, much better than any other track. Now, take super speedways out of this, but the Fords, I talk about, all right, we need horsepower this week. The Fords don't have it. The aero, the horsepower, whatever, the speed, they just don't have it. Okay. And then Blaney comes out of nowhere at Charlotte and mops the field. He had a great car at Gateway, and he had great cars at Richmond and New Hampshire. And I think that if the 22 is paying attention, they got a lot of smart guys over there. And he's no slouch either. I just don't have numbers in front of me to back up the 22, but I am leaning Penske and a couple Fords this week.
So maybe what we should do, might do a personal bet with you. I do this with Worm sometimes. Maybe I'm not the greatest when it comes to Worm and I's, percentage. But maybe we do something where Logano over Blaney, because Logano was a guy I was coming in on from a Ford perspective. Harvick as well, and I will get to Harvick here in a little bit, I'm sure. But just an interesting, when you think of high tire wear tracks, I don't necessarily think of Ryan Blaney. I think of a guy like Blaney that pit road has had issues. If he gets back, Worm talks about it too. If he gets back in the pack, has a harder time coming through the field. I look at the pole that he won last year. I believe it was the spring. He also won the spring pole, I believe it was at Phoenix. Had a lot of fast laps, but then that was it. Like, it was not even at the level that some of the other drivers did. So it was like, all right, so there's something missing here. Now, I was at the race as well in Phoenix, where it was team orders, letting his guy win because he didn't want, Logano win the race, Blaney second, holding back if Chastain would ever make a run. So maybe that's a little counterpoint there, but maybe we come up with something from a personal standpoint. So let's do this. And Rob, I'm going to give you the floor first when it comes to the outright market. You talked about it a little bit, but really curious to hear what you found in the outright market specifically, and how the people can kind of look for value, and what you kind of recommend.
Well, obviously, we talked about missing on some prices earlier in the week. I think people would like to have Chastain back at 25, like to have Logano back at 18 or 20, where he opened. What you're seeing is, I'm a little surprised by this. Truex is getting more expensive fast. Hamlin's not moving a ton, and people are down on Bell in terms of like with the 3 Toyotas. If it's me, the best value probably out there is probably Byron at 1,000, but no cheaper than that. So put me down for Byron at 10, but I'm not in love with any of these. I mean, they've got basically 6-7 cars at under 1,000. That takes up a lot of the space out of your 100%. We can talk about this later in the show, but the bigger thing for me is the in-race and the prices we got in-race last week on Hamlin, Larson, compared to what you had to pay pre-race. Completely different. And that's why I don't want to overcommit to any bad numbers without the qualifying or seeing some practice.
You know, Rob, when it comes to William Byron specifically, I feel like the last few weeks, for whatever reason, his price point doesn't really validate the performance he's had this year. And I don't know. I think there's a lot of Toyota love right now. MTJ, Denny Hamlin. You got to put guys like Chase Elliott up there, not the favorite, but you know that money's going to be coming in on guys like Elliott for sure. Why do you think that Byron hasn't been getting the love? Larson as well, obviously putting him up there. Why do you think Byron specifically, I keep finding in 10 to 1, 12 to 1 prices where it's like, yeah, I'm going to definitely jump on this because now he's made that number of like, hey, it's an automatic buy at X. Why do you think that is?
Should be. And he's giving you quality. I think a lot of people maybe don't trust it last year when he started out hot and then tanked it for the last 20 or 25 weeks, it felt like. With Byron, but he's doing everything. He's qualifying well. The short track's been good to him. Flat tracks, he manages tires. I don't see the complaint. I just think people don't want to respect because they don't see that as the 1 or 2 card. Hendrick, they still see him as down there with Bowman from last year. I don't get it personally. There's a lot of value, and people, were asking me this week, should we buy Byron of the season? It's still valued at 600 or 700. I remember we told people to buy him at 16 in February. It's been there. Yeah. People just don't trust it.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting element. And Pit Crew obviously does really well. So if they qualify well, they're typically running well, especially at a place like this at Richmond, where I think that pit position is very key, very important. We saw it in the race just in the spring, right? When Larson was coming out, made some contact with, I believe it was the 99. There's just guys coming in. You're going to have long green flag runs here, which I really want to kind of touch on is you're going to have longer green flag runs on a short track where tire wear is a premium. So you're going to see a lot of fall off. You're going to see a lot of guys making multiple green flag stops, or at least they should. So that's something to kind of put into your handicapping process. It's not a traditional, get to a point where there's definitely going to be cautions. This Richmond specifically runs a little bit longer from a short track perspective, similar to maybe New Hampshire, where we saw some green flag stops as well. Mark, I'm going to kick it over to you. Curious from an outright perspective, what have you found when it comes to this market?
Well, I'm on Kevin Harvick 9 to 1, and I'm sure that I hope that there's a better number out there. I think if it was 10, I know it's only $1, but if this was 10, I'd be all over it. I just rattled off when I was talking about taking him over Kyle Busch. I rattled off a bunch of nerd stats, and I'm just not going to do that. I'm not going to repeat myself. He's got 4 wins here at Richmond, and I found this stat interesting. In the 12 races that we've had at Richmond that have included stage points, he has gained stage points in every single one of them, which is blasphemy. Kevin Harvick shows up at Richmond, and I almost forgot where we were going. I think, truthfully, this is might be a hot take. I think he should be down there in the 5 to 6 to 1 range. Why is he double? Why is Kevin Harvick double what Toyota is? I don't even know. Is it the Toyota Owners 400? It probably, it might as well be with everybody being on him. Even the books are on him. They're so expensive this week. I just think Kevin Harvick at double the price of the favorites is, I think it's a good bet. His recent finishes, the only 3 races in the next gen car at Richmond, 5th, 1st, 2nd. What are we looking at? He's had great speed on short flats this year. He just hasn't put it in victory lane yet. So once again, if 10 to 1's out there, it's a slamma-jamma. I've already laid it at 9 to 1. And I think he's gotten down to 8.5, 8 at some shops. So I'm buying Harvick, I'm buying Blaney, and I'm rolling with a couple Fords this week.
Well, like we always say, right? First on race day is how you can kind of properly call out the Fords.
Damn
so
right.
You're hoping for a Ford's, win in the win column, and hopefully one of them that you called out. So, Rory, I'm going to let you close out the outright market. Really curious to hear what you found from a pricing perspective. And is it a name other than Kyle Larson?
Yes, actually, it's a Yoder. So I'm rolling with Martin Truex, the hottest damn driver in the series, and has been one of the top 3 fastest cars for 2 months now, probably. And we're going to a place that he just straight up dominates. 3 wins here in the last 8, pretty sure. A lot of top 5s in there. Average finish is somewhere around 5.4, I believe. Tire wear track, I like it. I like the momentum that team is carrying. I was looking for a little bit of a setback at Pocono, like a pit stop, something happened, and it's just not there. These guys are showing up every week with the fastest damn car, and if bad luck doesn't strike him, and maybe some type of short run finish at the end, it kind of screws this thing up with a green white checkered or something like that. I really like Martin Truex here in this spot at plus 450. I mean, I know it's not much, but I expect he's going to probably qualify in the top 10. If not pole it, they could very well show up and pole it, and you're not going to get 450. I just feel confident rolling on with it. I want to put like an actual winner out tonight. I don't want to put value play, this and that, all that bullshit. Like, this is my guy this week. Martin Truex Jr. is going to be up there Sunday, guaranteed.
Okay, so a Rorypicks guarantee is going to be MTJ is going to be up there. So Rory, let me ask you this. So right now you're buying him at plus 650. Let's just say he goes out, does pull it, or plus 450. I'm sorry. So let's say he goes out there and pulls it. What number does he move to, and why should somebody go out and buy that price now, or wait till he's like 3-1?
I would say he would be 3-1, as dominant as he has been and the speed that they've shown. I mean, he really has just been fast, short, and long run. He's been a little bit faster over the short run, but if he gets out in clean air, I feel like he pulls it. They stay up there all day long. They stay on the right strategy. The only thing that can screw you up here is some stupid caution, depending on that final stage. If you got your guys that's going to take a shot, probably just one stop it, and then you got your guys that are going to take the 2-stop strategy. So that does come into play here, and that's why they invented live betting.
True. That is why they created live betting. That's a good element. So just an interesting conversation, right? Because we know his price point, like I said, 4.5-1. Is it worth buying that now, or maybe waiting to see how he really is? If he's moves to 3-1. So that was kind of why I wanted to.
I really just want to put a damn winner out on here.
I got you.
I'm tired. I'll put out a second play. I do have Chris Buescher at like 66-1. I mean, who knows where this might end up. He ran very well here, almost won this race last year. I mean, I feel like on a short track, that's where he's going to win at. I mean, he won Bristol last year. I feel like we may not see that number if he has a good practice and qualifies, even probably top 15. I can't imagine 66-1 to be hanging around on him, especially if he shows late run speed in practice.
Good. See, those are some nuggets I was curious about. And it is also interesting. And then I want to kind of move into the next topic here. But I'm really curious to see how this weekend plays out, because we've seen some of the winners, odds-on favorite guys that are supposed to win, have come out the last few weeks and won. So really curious to see how things play out this week, where, with it being a high tire wear track, it is a little bit more predictable. So will a short number, I know we had a stretch last year in 2022 where a lot of people were cashing in some big numbers on 19 different winners. You were able to grab a lot of different value, but this year has been vastly different. We don't have even 14 winners. I think have 13 winners to be exact, or maybe 14. So just that number there alone is a little, different than what we saw last year. And so we kind of have to shift our mindsets, and hey, it's kind of shifting back to some of the shorter prices are what's cashing. So let's do this. And Mark, I'm going to let you kick off the conversation here. It's our final topic. This is going to be our money segment presented by NASCAR Money, his new website, NASCARmoney.com. So from a money standpoint, what are we cashing in on? What's the best bet, best value you found?
Money segment, NASCAR Money, our buddy Austin. What a guy. I love that guy. Yeah, I'm going complete opposite of Rory here. Like, Rory's like, I'm going to throw out, a winner guarantee. I'm reaching for that 25-1 Ryan Blaney number. I got down on him at 22. And I see what you guys are saying. You're talking Logano's better on high tire wear. I get it. Ryan Blaney has had such great speed at these tracks, even Richmond 1. And this 25-1, 22-1, 20-1 is, I mean, FanDuel's got him at 20, or Barstool's got him at 20, and other ones got 22. I gave my whole explanation when I wanted him on top 10, and that was the play that I like a lot better. But then you start scrolling the outright board and you're like, holy shit, Blaney's in the 20s. Like, I think this number should be the Logano number, not 13. I think Logano's 13 in some places, but I think this should be 16, 18. This is like the Ross Chastain, Joey Logano potential, where these guys could go from 18 to 10 if they have, great practice in qualifying. And Ryan Blaney's sitting at 22. So he goes out and he has great practice numbers and he qualifies inside the top 10. Well, this number is now 14. This number is now 12. So I'm jumping on Ryan Blaney at 22-1. And if I can find, after we get off the show, I'm going to go look and see if I can get down on a 25. But I'd play it all the way to 20.
Well, I know one guy on this show that maybe could find us at 25-1, but Rory, I'm going to go to you first. If you are still with us, you're not with us on the YouTube side anymore. So from your perspective, and hopefully again, you're still with us on Twitter Spaces, what is your best bet, best value of the weekend? And I apologize for everybody on YouTube watching right now that can't hear it, but we'll get it up. We'll get his audio up here in a second. But it is interesting to note what's kind of breaking down for us.
It's going to be a hot day just like it was last summer's race. There's nothing about him that I trust whatsoever against Chris Buescher in what I consider he's probably going to have a chance at being a top 10 car and possibly even winning this race. So that's kind of where I'm going with that. I mean, he really doesn't separate himself out so much as far as like in Highline's bettings, they're right that rankings, they're right there at 15, 16, I think, something like that. I just have a whole lot more faith in. I feel like RFK is going to show up with at least top 15 cars versus Suarez. You just really don't ever know what you're going to get out of him. It's almost like top 5 most of the time are bust with him. Like very seldom does he just have a good day, have a day where you start off slow and then all of a sudden, oh, all right, yeah, we're getting better and better throughout the race. They either show up with speed or they don't. So I feel more comfortable saying Chris Buescher is going to have a lot more speed coming into this race than he is.
When it comes to this market specifically, what have you found from the best value?
I mean, for me, this segment or whatever, I'm looking for something that's automatic. I gave it to my buddy who doesn't really know anything about NASCAR, doesn't go into all this detail. Nice, simple, chalky play with a really good price. That's Denny. Top 5, 105 at Bovada. You can catch it 100 a few other places. That's just a nice, safe feeling play. Kind of like Corey Heim type top 5 every week. I don't feel bad about that. And this is home game for him. He's been strong. I don't see the differential. I don't know why Truex is 400 and Denny's sitting out there close to 7. And it feels like there's value there. Top 5 Toyota. The other thing we haven't talked about, I don't want to take us too far off track, number of cautions. In the fall there were 8. Last year both races here were 5. That's going to change the pacing of the race. And the weather thing we always have to get to. Weather now showing Sunday 2 to 7 with some rain danger.
Did you just say rain?
Yep, rain danger 2 to 7. I'm sorry. Did I ruin the day?
Yeah. You may have. That was a word I was hoping to avoid.
That worries me. And obviously that throws off all of our pit strategy, all of our pacing, all of our estimate of caution numbers and breaks. And did we ever get a tire code? Did JC give us the fresh tire code this week or not?
I didn't see anything when I added all the notes, so I haven't seen anything.
Someone was holding their fire. Somebody smart in our group said on Monday, "I'm holding my fire till I see a tire code." I don't forget who that was, but that just jumped out at me. By the way, if we're doing rain or anything else. Oh, another cat.
Yeah, and the cat's back.
Yeah.
So
different one, actually,
it's
Jane. Yeah.
Okay, so it's a new one. So it's an interesting element. You bring up rain. Hopefully we don't have to deal with it, but it is something that we have to think about. When you're planning out your bets here, especially on a Wednesday like we are, it does bring some of those other factors when we're looking at, hey, how do we kind of go about handicapping this? So let's do this. We touched on a number of topics there. I'm really curious to hear from you, the listener in the audience. Now's a good time to come up and kind of share your thoughts for the YouTube, for Twitter as well. So if anybody has anything that they want to share, now's the time. Hit that request to speak button. We'll get you up here. But Rob, before anybody does that, just curious from your vantage point, when you're looking at trucks and Xfinity, is there anything of value that you found in any of those markets? I know your cat is really trying to mess you up here and throw you a curveball.
She loves it. She does this all day. Trucks, I only saw the first truck lines today come out like on the drive home a couple hours ago. Don't have much feel for the trucks yet. The one thing jumped out at me in Xfinity is obviously Road America. Mayer over Mosack at Betfred. I like Mayer minus 115, essentially an even on each side. Mosack's not getting finishes. The other thing is be watchful for Road America, as we always are. Split squad reporters, split squad media, no Pocris. You're going to have to pay better attention to Twitter if someone's getting kicked to the back or if there are any other problems there that, if Bob's not there to say that, we might get an hour advance notice in the books, which has happened a couple times. I think the Portland split squad race, we had a couple that were just dynamite like that.
Interesting. Well, and as you see on YouTube, Worm right here, he's saying about it's the same tire code. So JSKI must put it out after I was compiling the notes. So same as we saw in the spring. I assume, and I need to look, so don't quote me on this quite yet, but I assume that also means the same tire code that was used at Phoenix, possibly the same one that was at New Hampshire. I'm trying to throw back in my memory bank and see if that was something that they also used at those three tracks. They try to stay with the similar, models. So, very interesting. Mark, what about you? Like anything else that maybe jumped out to you? Right now, we don't have anybody requesting to speak right now. So anything that jumped out at you when it comes to some of the topics of conversations we had tonight?
Yeah, I mean, if we want to talk about the R word, I guess we could. No, listen, we got to talk about it. We have to talk about it. And it's frustrating. We've been dealing with it all summer, and I have yet to wager any differently than I have when we know it's going to be dry, which hasn't yet bit me in the ass. I'm sure it will at some point, but Rob, is there? You mentioned one of your guys that you frequent was saying that he's waiting to see how the forecast ends up. How do you? What's your advice for people out there to say, all right, hold your horses or bet normally?
Frankly, wait for more in race, especially if we think they're going to be on the wets. Because again, that's just it's hard to say, which of these guys. We know the guys are good on wets, good on not. We assume the road course guys, Allmendinger and whatnot. And by the way, if anybody throws Allmendinger matchup out there and doesn't weigh that he's starting last, buy some of that over the weekend and bet US or somebody puts it up that just does not pay attention and builds these things by formula while we're on that topic. No, I just go easier on it. And I go more into the in race, but obviously that's hard if you have subscribers, people you're trying to help. You can't give people, Denny at 1,800 on 30 seconds notice when it just flashes there. And that's the issue we're dealing with. I would just be softer on pre-race stuff. We have what I call static bets, and then there's post-practice after the flop, and then there's in race. There's three different things we're dealing with, and it's great to do a show on Wednesday, but obviously you can't cover for all the extremes.
SC, I want to get to you here in just 1 second, but Rob, actually, and Mark, I want to kind of toss it over to you because you brought up AJ Allmendinger, and I think it's a very interesting topic. You have a guy right now almost at the cutoff, right? I think he's 17th or whatever he is. He and that colleague team are making a decision to go to Road America in the Xfinity car. Separate track for anybody that's new. Two different tracks. One is in Wisconsin. One is in Richmond, Virginia. AJ is fighting for a playoff spot. There's no points that matter to him in the Xfinity race. I'm going to throw something out there, and I want to hear what you guys have to say to this. So yes, we can look at it through the lens of why would he do that? He's fighting for a playoff spot. However, I believe he doesn't have a chance to win at Richmond. That's not a strength of his. Yes, the Xfinity cars are vastly different than the Cup Series cars, but getting that little bit of experience where over the next 2-3 weeks, we're going to be seeing Indy Road, Watkins Glen. I feel like this gives him a little bit of an advantage to just kind of get in there, get, self-familiar. 2 different cars, I know. I do not hate this. And, maybe if he gets a 17th place finish in the Cup race, that's probably looked at a win when you look at, AJ Allmendinger. What do you think, Mark?
Listen, what are we talking about here? Good question. I want somebody to differ from me because I saw Worm's tweet about if they're all on board with it, cool. But what are we talking about here? We're talking about the Cup Series full-time driver that's 17 points off the playoffs with 5 races to go. And you're going to go refine your craft in an Xfinity car at Road America because we got road courses coming up. Listen, AJ Allmendinger is one of, if not the best road course drivers in the Cup Series right now. And why does he need to do that? He's 17 points off the playoffs. I don't understand. What pays the bills for Colleague Racing? It's not going and winning Road America in an Xfinity car. It's the Cup Series and putting that car in the playoffs.
What do you think, Rob?
I think
Matt Colleague's a billionaire. Okay, fine.
I think it's another sign that Colleague's out of the Cup game next year. They don't care.
Oh,
Haley's head of the curb. Maybe the team's for sale. Why are you worried about points or payout?
That's a
You already
wild.
made
It is weird. It's weird.
Let AJ do whatever.
Wow, okay, that's a different lens I didn't think about when it comes to that. You might be onto something. I'm always down for some silly season talk. Everybody knows that. SC, I want to welcome you to the show here. What do you got for us, man? And thanks so much for obviously joining us. But what do you got here from a standpoint of what we're going to see this weekend?
Worm's coming in here like what the one word answers.
I was isn't it the same tires as North Wilkesboro also? Same tire code?
Yes.
Okay. I was
Worm's coming in here like what the one word answers.
And then I did have a question for the panel. If you guys had to rank the top 4 drivers right now.
Oh, that's a good point. Good point, Chris.
It's pretty easy, but I'm kind of struggling with 3 and 4. I'll hang up and listen.
Now, I don't know. Derek's trying to. We're battling this YouTube thing over here, and Derek's
battling.
A little delayed.
Go ahead, Mark. Take it, or Chris.
Good point.
I'm working. I'm working.
Okay, Chris. This is an interesting topic because I quote tweeted your tweet about where would you put Chase Elliott, and so I kind of ranked drivers, and I think it's is the question drivers of cars, and I think cars. It's you got to put 5, you got to put 19, you got to put 11, 24. There you go. JGR and Hendrick. Boom, bingo. So I kind of ranked drivers, and I think it's is the question drivers of cars, and I.
Their driving ability, they were good in the Xfinity series. Ryan Preece is everything he stepped in his entire life. He's been fast, and he's embarrassing them, in my opinion. So I would say I'd put probably Chris Bell in there. I think he's a damn good driver. I just think of like, if someone has a race-winning car, who do you feel the most confident that they're going to go out there and like lead the most laps and win? And don't want to discount Truex though. I mean, he's damn good as well. So I think it's Kyle and Kyle for me are like 1 and 2, and then you could make an argument for a lot of other guys. I mean, Denny even argued Joey Logano. Like, and tough to argue with that. I might not like the guy, but he's a great driver.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing when you bring up some of those drivers. What are some other elements that you've seen this weekend, or as we head into the weekend, Chris, that you're kind of pinpointing?
Well, I think it's just the outright market. Yeah, Blaney at 25-1. It's like, gosh, he's in Penske equipment. It's Ryan Blaney. He's going to be fast, but I mean, how the hell is he going to beat Martin Truex? How is anyone going to beat Martin Truex Jr. this weekend? I mean, he was fast here when his car wasn't even fast. Now his car is fast. So, you got odds makers opening up at 5-1. He gets bet down to plus 350. What happens if he pulls it and looks good in practice? Is he going to go off at like a Kevin Harvick at Phoenix type plus 225? And is he going to lead 300 or 400 laps? Like, I don't know. I mean, I know that everyone has this Denny was the fastest car last week. I would argue that Martin Truex Jr. was faster than Denny. I think that the only way to compete with Truex right now is you better be really, really good on the long run. You better do what Denny did, is conserve your stuff, like what he did in the fall, where earlier in the season when he took control of the race. He was really good on the long run, not as good on the short run. So what he did is he waited like 6 or 8 laps longer to pit. He actually picked up that time on the backside of the stint or the run when he was running 2 to 3 tenths faster. So he didn't lose as much ground to the leaders that had pitted before him. And then he went and took tires. And then for the last 40 laps of the run, he had 6 to 8 lap fresher tires, which allowed him to win stage 2. Well, then in Denny fashion, tries to do the same thing again, has like an 18-second stop, and then a speeding penalty to completely throw the race away. So it's going to take something like that, because I just don't see Truex making a mistake at this track. Now, you get on a 1.5 mile track, you might be able to compete with him, but I don't see as dominant as he was at Loudon, as fast as he was at Pocono when he wasn't faster last year. So clearly they're faster this year than they were last year. I don't know. It's hard. We're going to see some really short prices, and especially if Truex pulls it, like really short.
So I asked this question to Rory. What do you kind of advise? If the number right now is 4.5-1, he goes out, pulls it, moves the number to 3-1. Is that worth more so of an opportunity to bet that number, or do you advise going to bet the 4-1 right now? I don't even know if I came through. Did I even come through?
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
Worm, big perm.
I was asking Worm. I was asking Worm.
I thought you were talking to Rory.
No.
I did too at first, and then he said, then I picked up. I don't know. He's the shit out of me. But I feel like Worm and me are on the same page with Truex coming into here.
We're both. Yeah, we also think Tiger Woods was a good golfer.
Well, no shit.
All right.
No, I think right now I'm waiting. I'm just going to wait. I think it's really important at this point in the week, more than ever, you have to be able to snag someone that you think is going to qualify a little bit better and beat the market a little bit. Just because if you don't, you end up so far behind the 8 ball. Like last week when I thought Chastain was going to be good. He opened at 12. I thought he was going to be. I thought the market movement on him was proper. I thought that he was going to, even though he doesn't qualify particularly well, also, and I had this conversation with Rob, is he brought up a good point. He doesn't qualify well, but he did at Nashville, and he went out there and beat everyone's ass at Nashville. So I thought maybe this year, if he unloaded like he did last year at Pocono and had kind of a car that would qualify in the top 4 or 5, I didn't want to miss out on that 12-1, because at Nashville he went off at like 5-1, and I didn't want to miss out on that value. Of course, he lays an egg, but you're going to have to beat the market with the guys that you take early in the week, or it's going to be really hard to be profitable in outrights. If you don't do that, you're just so far behind the 8 ball. If you have a couple units on a guy at 12-1 and now he's 25-1, you have a lot of catching up to do. So I'm just going to sit back and wait, I think, on outrights. If plus 350 to plus 450 on Truex, even if he goes out there and pulls it. I just don't know where they're going to reopen the number, but I'm certainly not betting him at Richmond at under 3-1. That's for sure.
Go ahead, Rory.
Well, one thing I will say, I don't think Truex's number is going to change a whole lot if he just qualifies even top 15. I don't see the books coming off of him because I fully believe they think even second half of the race, he's going to be right up there in contention for this thing. That's my opinion on it.
Jeff, I'm curious to hear what you have to say tonight. Thanks for joining us once again.
Same thing as last weekend. Truex was plus 160 for top 3. That's what I took. And you guys are talking about Truex now. I think looking at my sheet, the best, most comfortable I feel is a Truex top 5 was minus 111 at DraftKings. On Unibet, it's minus 130 or something right now. So it is moving away from us. But yeah, that's it. My best bet is Truex again. And I'm not a Truex fan, but he's killing it this year. Truex top 5, about minus 110, minus 111. That's where I'm at. You guys, good luck with your tickets this week.
Yeah, appreciate that, Jeff, as always. Thanks for coming on and giving us your insights there. Let's do this. Rory, Chris, Mark, Rob, even SC, if you guys have anything else to share, just put your hand up. We'll get you in here real quick, and then we'll close out here at 9 p.m. Eastern. Rob, I actually want to kind of kick it to you first. I'm very curious to hear, like we said, coming in, is there any top 5 numbers that you're looking at? Is there a driver specific when you come to look at, a high tire wear track?
Obviously, we talk about Toyotas. Everyone thinks, where Truex is. He's not going to get any cheaper. Even if he qualifies terribly, that number is not going to go out back beyond 5-1 or whatever. I think 460 is the best thing sitting out there right now at the major spots. If it's me, this is chalky as hell. You're going to end up with 10 or 12 or 13 cars on the lead lap. This is the most chalky place, and you have no attrition. And this cat, come on, buddy.
Cat is just in the way. If you're watching on YouTube,
but the deal is this: you don't have attrition. You're not expecting wrecks unless we have the cautions ratcheted up. This is going to be literally the 12 best cars are going to be out front at the end of the day. This is going to be as predictable as possible, and that's why these prices on Truex probably aren't a terrible idea. Getting down to minus 110, minus 112 for top 5 sounds fantastic. We're seeing 130s, 140s out elsewhere out there. Byron top 5 might be a bargain at plus 140, but I just don't know. This is going to be too predictable. There is no randomizer here. Worm's right. Get on the outrights early. Buy the Fords now if you haven't already bought them, if you like them out there, that 20 area. But I don't see a whole lot of other places where qualifying is going to move somebody from 20 to 10 or 15 to 8 or whatever. Kyle Busch, everyone disagrees on Kyle Busch. That's the one thing. There's a big spread in Kyle, 800 to 1,200. So the books are disagreeing on that. And what that means is you are probably going to have some matchups that are priced totally differently at different places. So if you're looking to get against or for Kyle Busch, that big spread there, 800 to 1,200, is going to give you some room to work, I think.
Okay, so that's good insights there. Just curious. Worm, I keep seeing you click on and off as a speaker. You got something you want to share?
Seeing it happen would be a caution during green flag stops. That would shake things up, I think, especially with this. Like, if you can get it earlier in the race, maybe see what happens. Because what we've seen out of Truex is he's great when he's out front, but if he, let's just say, or if he's restarting in the first, 2 rows or 3 rows, he's able to recapture the lead quite quickly. But he hasn't been able to drive to the field. If he actually has to start, a little bit deeper, like maybe he's starting in, row 6 or 7, like he has to start in, 13th or 14th place. I think that would be interesting to see how that 19 team, because they can get down on themselves pretty quickly, and it'd be interesting to see what happens. I would love to just get Truex back in 15th just to see how good he's going to be, because at this point he looks pretty much unbeatable from here on out.
And that I think goes to a bigger point about betting in race. I think we all saw it last week. There was some discussion on Twitter. I was part of that, but about the prices where you could get Hamlin and Larson in race at various points as late as 5 o'clock, 5:20 Eastern, 18, 16 to 1. I got my last Hamlin at 10 and 12 at like 5:22. Race prices you could never get pre-race for guys who are fine, but the books still don't understand. Their algo or their guys who are watching the race still don't get a lot of times how pit strategy and sequencing works. And when you see the best car in the field fade to 15, that's obviously when you buy it. Seeing Truex get buried early would be a dream. I'd be happy to buy a bunch of Truex at 10-1 even if I lose my ass on it, because that's value. We were never going to get it now. We're not going to get it for a while. Maybe 4 o'clock on Sunday.
Yeah, that's a good point. So Coop, I'm going to let you have the last word here, and then we'll close out shop. So what do you got for us here tonight?
Sorry, Rob, but I have to disagree that this is far from a predictable race. If you look at last year, Buescher finished third. Nobody expected that. Michael McDowell finished fifth. Nobody expected that. There were some other drivers in the top 10 too. Basically, this race comes down to your pit strategy, and there's going to be 2 groups on different pit strategies. And if you look at the numbers throughout the first 3 editions of this race in the new car, none of the drivers have won a stage. In fact, only 3 of the winners have only finished in the top 10 in stage 1 or stage 2. And then if you look at the laps led, there's been 1,200 laps run over the 3 races, probably a little bit more if you count green and white. But the leaders have only led 165 laps. 93 of them came from Kyle Larson last year, who I would say is an unpredictable winner too, because you really didn't think of Kyle Larson, before this spring being very good at Richmond. And then last thing I have to say, one person that has not been mentioned tonight that has been horrible this year, but I wouldn't mind backing him this week, is Chase Briscoe.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's been very good in this package. He's very good at running, on long runs and managing his tires. And, I think he led laps at Martinsville. He's finished well, I think, in the spring here. Did good at North Wilkesboro. So I think if you're looking at a long number, Chase Briscoe is somebody to look at.
Go ahead, Rob. I saw that you were maybe going to comment on that.
Obviously, Rifle Shop. You saw the books this week, throwing them out there, 8,000, 9,000. I think Superbook opened him at 100-1. Yeah, that's a guy. If you're looking for a guy, again, everyone's desperate. Everyone in that part of the standings who has no shot is desperate for a win. So get him on some different strategy. A lot of guys have been trying a lot of stuff the rest of the way. Obviously, some of these Ford guys who are slow. But yeah, that's interesting when you look at the spring race here. 24 cars in the lead lap was frankly kind of out of character. More cautions, and I had to go back and rewatch and see how we got to the point. I know McDowell's pit had a late pit stop, and that sticks out in my mind. But you're right; it's funny to look how the top guys leading laps. Byron, last guy in the lead lap. Hamlin 20th with 71 laps led, and Larson with 93 up high with Barry right behind him, subbing them.
Mm-hmm.
That was a nutty result.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. Actually, Rob, I'm going to just keep it with you. Why don't you close this out here? I'll let you kick it off. How can everybody best support what you got going on? Obviously, you're a big advocate of this community and kind of helping people find that value, find those opportunities. So how can everybody best support you?
Love you guys. Love the show and love what you guys have been able to do and build and keep doing. On Twitter, I'm RobCWV. Easy to find out there. I do my picks. I have a service I'm with, but my picks that are out there in the clear for free are on Twitter with Follow the Action, tied up with Philly Godfather and his sons, 8 Ball and Matt Maltepes and all those guys. They do really good work in all the ball and bat sports, and I've just joined them about 6-7 weeks ago around the All-Star break. We're free. We're in the clear right now trying to teach people with those picks. We do a podcast about once a week on Follow the Action on YouTube and on Twitter. I like throwing things out before the race. When I see value, lob a few things out there.
Yeah, well, I know you're affiliated with, you said you're right on the border of a few states there, so it's always fun to watch what you're able to put out, the information that you're able to give. So, guys, make sure you're interacting with Rob and get connected with him there. Mark, I'm going to throw it over to you. How can everybody best support you and what you got going on?
Yeah, man, go listen to Laying Coin, baby. It'll be out probably about midnight tonight. And, yeah, same old shit. You can take a shit longer than my other podcasts I do, Through the Gears. We got Ryan with wintherace.info on this week. Love talking NASCAR with that guy. So, Laying Coin, Twitter, blow it up, baby. Thanks, Derek.
Absolutely. All right, Rory, I'm going to let you close this out here. How can everybody best support what you got going on, man?
Everyone can best support me by listening to Laying Coin whenever Mark drops it. he's been doing pretty damn good at it lately. So we've been seeing it midnight now. So if I stay up extra late, even after listening, already recording Land Coin, I get to listen to it again as I go to bed. So it over here every Wednesday night, you can find me. Also, TikTok, Instagram, and Highline Betting's Discord. That's where you can find my plays. And just excited to talk about a little bit more NASCAR tonight. This show is going to be lit. We got my man Rock Cake coming on, and he's just as wild as my ass is. So that always makes for an interesting night.
Yeah, that'll be fun to kind of tune in and hear what you guys have to say. So I appreciate – oops, I removed Rory by accident. So, I appreciate everybody tuning in and helping us out here tonight. Thank you guys for tuning into the YouTube. Very active. We're going to keep growing this, get this better. This isn't our typical night, so appreciate all the patience, the technical glitches and all that. We tried. You can best support the NASCAR Betting Preview Show via NASCAR BPS on Twitter. Follow me at Derek Yoder _. Download the NASCAR Betting Preview Show podcast. We got Johnny on the track who's going to be doing our Tuesday shows. You got the NASCAR Betting Preview Show Twitter Spaces element. You got Phil and I doing the trucks, Mike Bachman doing Xfinity. Rob, you're going to be joining me this week, hopefully doing the post-practice qualifying from Richmond. So we'll have a lot of fun doing that. And guys, thank you so much for tuning in this week. Can't wait till we get into the action next week. Enjoy all the racing action. Again, Xfinity up at the Road America. Trucks and Cup are at Richmond. Have a good rest of your week. Enjoy, and we'll catch you next week as we handicap yet another race in the 2023 season.